Hi, my name's Adam, and I have a health and fitness company called A Game Health and Fitness. And while I do a lot of videos about working out, another big side of what I aim to achieve is helping to develop the character of individuals, especially men. My life's mission is to lead all people to improve their health and fitness, to be the best they can in all areas of their life in order to be happier, to live happier, to have more fulfilling lives, and to make a positive impact on the world. Men especially desperately need character development, both for personal and for professional reasons. So I guess I'm kind of taking it upon myself to share some books that I have read that have made a significant impact in my life. I want to do what I can to help. I've come across men in various areas, whether it's just my personal life, my professional life, and in myself as well, where I didn't make the right choice, and it led to negative things in my life and in the life of others. So on my own journey of self-help, personal development, I've read some great books, put these principles into practice, and have gotten really good results from it. So if we want this world to be a better place, it's going to start with making individual changes so that we can be good role models and leaders for the future generations. So before we start, I just want to make it clear that while I might pause to make comments and draw from my personal experiences, none of the material in the books that I'm going to be reading from is my own. If you like what you're hearing, definitely go out, purchase these books. They're awesome. I'm just going to give my little twist on the books. Let's get right into it. I'm going to read a little bit of different books every time. I'm going to start with Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Awesome book. I first heard about it when I think I was in Colorado working for Colorado Athletic Club, and I had just become a personal training manager for the first time. So this book was given to me by Amy Thompson, who is an awesome person, a great leader, and I am just very grateful for having had her leadership in my life. So I just want to start with just talking about why is this book still relevant today, because it's a pretty old book. Simple truths are a relief from grand speculations. The reason How to Win Friends and Influence People remains a top seller to this day, moving more than 250,000 units in the United States alone in 2010, is that the principles within it are simple yet timeless. The underlying wisdom is straightforward yet transcendent. Since the inception of Carnegie's first course on the subject in 1912, his simple truths have illuminated the most effective ways to become a person others look to for opinions, advice, and leadership. If there is therefore any opportunity in rewriting the classic tome, it is not in the context of supplanting its advice. The prose threaded through the pages before you is in a different context, reframing Carnegie's advice for a wholly different era. The same timeless principles viewed through a modern lens and applied with digital global mindset. The opportunities to win friends and influence people today are exponentially greater than they were in Dale Carnegie's time. Yet, when you break the opportunities down, the numbers matter little, because the entire universe, with one trifling exception, is still composed of others. It is true, writes 50 self-help classics author Tom Butler Bowden of How to Win Friends, that there is a strange inconsistency between the brazenness of the title and much of what is actually in the book. View this book's title through today's skeptical lens, and you might miss its magic. The book is above all a treatise on applying the unmatched combination of authentic empathy, strategic connection, and generous leadership. It is important to remember that in Carnegie's times, the many media of veneered identities, websites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, everything, and gimmick-laden persuasion, pop-up ads, celebrity endorsements, televangelism were not around. The idea that of winning friends has been reduced to an accept button. The idea of influencing people did not include the baggage of half a century's worth of inflated ad campaigns, corporate deception, and double living luminaries. Carnegie had an intuitive reason for identifying his title the way he did. Back then, if you didn't foster a friendship, influencing a person was nearly impossible. Social media didn't exist. Digital connections were not available. In fact, you rarely did business with a person you did not know in a tangible way. The average person had only 3 ways to connect with another: face-to-face, by letter, or by telephone. Face-to-face was the expectation. Today, it's the exception. While indirect influence via celebrity or social status existed in Carnegie's time, it was neither instant nor viral like it is today. Friendship was once the bridge to everyday sway. You earned friends with a firm shake of a hand, a warm smile, and an altruistic body of activity. You were worthy of the influence that resulted. The cause and effect are not so tidy today. Consider the 2010 issue of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. With more than 6 million Twitter followers, Lady Gaga made the list. There's no need to discuss whether she has influence over her massive fan base, which has climbed over 10 million and probably more now. If she nods to a certain brand or shoes or a certain bottle of water, the products move. The real discussion surrounds the value she ascribes to her relationship and to what end her influence leads. Should she seek the highest measure of both, her influence is a significant force. Should she seek only to increase her numbers, she will make more money, but will have no more impact than a crack Polaroid campaign. The inherent relational value of influence has not changed. It is still the currency of interpersonal progress, yet the plethora of communication media has made it possible to acquire dime store versions, and you get what you pay for. Being a personal trainer in the fitness industry, this really hits me because I'm somebody that I went and got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I've got great certification, and yet there's so many influencers out there now that claim to be fitness experts that it's really just diluting the industry. I don't want to bash on people for wanting to help others and wanting to make money, but that's just a point I wanted to make, is that there's a plethora of communication media out there, and you do get what you pay for. Okay, so while we live in an area when noise plus naked equals celebrity, this is not a book about soliciting friendships and exploiting influence, a path Carnegie described as originating from the teeth out. This is human relations handbook that originates from the heart out. It is about winning friends the way your grandfather won your wise grandmother's heart, through sincere interest, heartfelt empathy, and honest appreciation. And it is about guiding the lasting influence that arises toward mutual progress and benefit. There's a right and effective way to do this, and Carnegie depicted it superbly. 75 years later, the principles remain true, but some definitions have changed and ramifications have expanded. The trajectory of this book will thus be toward new explanation and application. How do we understand and utilize Carnegie's principles in a digitized world? Certain clues can be derived from lists that didn't exist in Carnegie's time, such as Forbes magazine, the world's most admired companies, and Harvard Business Review's best performing CEOs in the world, and Time's 100 most influential people list, already mentioned. These clues, or at times warnings, have served as occasional guides for the context in which interpersonal success is achieved today. In the spirit of the original book, the pages that follow will also serve as a constant reminder that the reasons we do things are more important than the things we do. Okay, why do we do things? That's going to be a common theme that is going to be discussed in all of these books. Okay, while the journey to applying Carnegie's principles today is not as complicated as unplugging and returning to a reliance on telegrams, telephones, and tangible interface, it is also not as trite as injecting a little humanity into every aspect of your digital space. In general, the best practice is a judicious blend of personal touch and digital presence. Employing this blend begins with an honest assessment of your current situation. From here, your path to progress with others is clear. What is your ratio of face-to-face versus digital interactions? For most people, email, text, blogs, tweets, and Facebook posts are the primary ways that we correspond with others. This presents new hurdles and new opportunities. By relying so heavily on digital communication, we lose a critical aspect of human interactions, nonverbal cues. When delivering bad news, it is difficult to show compassion and support without putting your hand on somebody's shoulder. When explaining a new idea, it is difficult to convey the same level of enthusiasm through a phone call as if you would if standing before the audience in person. How many times have you sent an email and had the recipient call you to clear the air when the air was already clear? Okay, emotion is so difficult to convey without nonverbal cues. The advent of video communication has knocked down some barriers, but video is only a small fraction of digital communication. And still, it does not shepherd the highest standard of human dignity, the way a face-to-face meeting can. The award-winning film Up in the Air makes this point. Ryan Bingham, played by George Clooney, is a corporate downsizer flown around the country to fire people for companies who won't do it themselves. Bingham excels at his job, which requires him to lay off people in a dignified, even inspiring manner. He has mastered a speech in which he encourages each person to embrace the new freedom. He even fights against his boss, who requires him to begin delivering layoffs via video conferencing to decrease expenses. The great paradox, however, is that Bingham is a loner without one authentic relationship in his life, not even with his baby sister, whose wedding he may not attend. What appears to be an uncanny ability to empathize and connect with those he is firing is actually a confirmation of profound detachment. It is not until a personal experience shows him the raw significance of real human connection that he finally sees the truth, that even he cannot follow his advice. This really, personally reminds me of how it wasn't until I had a profound personal experience that I began this journey of, personal development, character development, leadership development. And so, I understand that while I want to help people and I want to say, hey, you should do this. This is the way to act towards people. This is the way to treat people. This is the way to, go get a client. This is the way to show up in a relationship. It's often not until you experience firsthand the negative effects of not doing the right thing, not saying the right thing, taking the wrong action. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Like as parents will often say, don't put your hand on the hot stove, you're going to get burned. But what do? We put it on there anyway, and we find out, man, I really should have listened to you. So anyway, we live in a driven digital world where the full value of human connection is often traded for transactional proficiency. Many have mastered the ironic art of increasing touch points while simultaneously losing touch. The remedy is found neither in self-preservation, a la Ryan Bingham, from the example I just talked about, nor in stimulating connection through stirring but shallow salesmanship. The former is a philosophical blunder. The latter is a strategic one. There's a threshold to today's productivity, found at the very point where progress with people is supplanted by progress. Often it's the sheer speed of communication that affects our judgment, because we believe others' immediate responses as we do ourselves. We don't often take the time to craft meaningful responses. We just blurt out whatever's on our mind because we're run by our ego. We ignore the niceties of common courtesy. We say, I can't possibly apply these principles to a blog comment, to an email, at a virtual conference where I'm not even sure I can be heard. But these interactions are when Carnegie's principles are most valuable. It is the common everyday moments where altruistic actions most clearly stand out. We expect courtesy on first dates and follow-up meetings. We are impacted when the same courtesy shows up in a weekly progress report or a shared ride in the elevator. We expect humble eloquence in an ad campaign or a wedding speech. We are inspired when the same humble eloquence shows up in an email update or in a text reply on a trivial matter. The difference, as they say, is in the details, the often subtle details of your daily interactions. It is those subtle, seemingly insignificant choices that we make that have a compound effect, that have a ripple effect on our lives and on the lives of others. Why do such details still matter in this digital age? Because the person who has technical knowledge plus the ability to express ideas, to assume leadership, and to arouse enthusiasm among people, that person is headed for higher earning power. It is remarkable how much more relevant Carnegie's words are today. So I'm going to end with that, with Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People for today. We'll pick it up another day, but before we go, I do want to end with a little thing to think about here. This is another book. It's called Moonlight Gratitude. All right, it's got a different meditation for every day. All right, so today, June 10th, check it out. All right, here we go. Our essence remains because our souls continue even after our bodies die. When a star shoots through the sky, its particles get absorbed back into the universe. Everything is interconnected, and our essences are universal. Pay attention to how things are connected and appreciate the presence of all things. That means just slow down a little bit. Appreciate things. Appreciate people in your life. Appreciate when you're out in nature and you're just noticing how beautiful everything is. All right. I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you took something out of this, and I will see you next time. All right. Let's bring that A game every day with every person we interact with, whether it's face-to-face, on the phone, text message, email. So that's the lesson for today, is that those interactions, we need to focus on the details. Be present.